Did we just witness the anime episode of the year? Dandadan episode 14 was absolutely godly in every aspect. From the emotional and deep storytelling, the fan service, and oh yeah, we got a lot of that, the absolutely unreal Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 levels of animation, and the twist that I don't think I'll get over for years to come. So let's go ahead and talk about an episode that made me laugh, made me cry, and made me one happy seaman. What? Evil Eye will pin you to a wall if you don't get this video to 500 likes and 20 new subscribers, and tell him your favorite moment from the episode in the comments below. So let's start off from the beginning, which picks up from episode 13, which oddly enough is the darker moment of this episode. So from here on out, the mood sorta picks up, so please stick with me. I'll lighten the mood with some jokes and stuff. Okarun has lost control of his yokai powers and out of nowhere tries to kill himself by first trying to rip apart his own skull in a brutal and cringe-worthy moment. Not because it is bad, but because it is so visceral that I couldn't help but wince in pain. It is hard watching someone who is filled with so much joy, especially after all that he has gone through to get to that joy, cry out in pain as he begs for his own demise. Gigi kicks him back, but all this does is show that Okarun has no intentions of fighting Gigi, so he grabs a box cutter and once again tries to self-harm over and over, eventually trying to end it with a pair of scissors. Gigi tries his absolute best to stop Okarun and is somewhat successful, but ends up with Okarun pleading to let him go through with it, to let him die, which transports Gigi back in time to when he had just arrived home to find his parents hanging from the balcony trying to kill themselves. He uses a pair of box cutters to cut them down in a really well animated sequence from beginning to end, especially with the colors like black, purple, the greens, and especially that orange color. Heck, there is even a cheeky callback to one of anime's most memorable moments outright. The faces Eren and Ymir Fritz make, Gigi does as well. Not only was this really awesome to do to pay respects to one of the GOATs to ever do it, it is also a great reference which shows the kind of pain that Gigi is going through recalling these memories just as the aforementioned did in their own series. And just like them, Gigi remembers holding his severely injured mother in his arms as she again says the same thing that Okarun did, to just let her die. This moment, man, was one of the harder ones to watch for me in recent memory. I've actually never had to experience something quite like this personally, but I've had people in my life, not even 12 months ago at the time of this recording, in the same house as mine try to attempt such a thing. So watching this gave me some valuable insight on how they may have felt in that moment. The feelings of exhaustion that wash over Okarun and Gigi's parents, as both times Gigi is left to frantically act in the moment to stop them. Just let me do it. Let me end it here. I can't get over that. And Gigi is, man, he is really brave. He's strong. Just to act out instinctually and urgently to save his family and friends like that. I think it is easy to say what we do in a moment like this, but really, what would you do in a moment like this? Like, how would you act knowing that your entire world rejects life itself? The people who gave you life, rejecting it. But I think Gigi stands as the tether, the rope back, the last line of defense that can stop such a force such as depression from taking its hold. So finally, the mood starts to lighten up a bit as Momo does the same thing with a shard of glass to only stab Turbo Granny in her stuffed stomach. I thought this was quite honestly insane the more you think about it. Like, how in the heck does Turbo Granny feel any sort of pain by being stabbed at all? She's like a literal soul inside of a toy. Also, ouch! That couldn't have felt good if she did. But Turbo Granny being the gift that will always keep giving, and one lucky cat toy, makes Gigi tie up Momo as she squirms. Turns out, however, that this Mongolian deathworm, terrifying as it is, has the ability to use psychic waves to induce suicidal thoughts and depression. which perfectly explains why everyone suddenly became suicidal and why Gigi's parents are in the hospital. It wasn't because of any other reason than that damn Mongolian death worm. And speaking of, I just love this worm's design to death. I talked about it a little last week, but it looks so imposing and almost prehistoric, like a dinosaur of some kind. And how it lights up with that orange color in the darkness, it's just so damn cool looking. Eventually, Momo and Okarun come to and break out of their trance. Now, this is because the GOAT is here, brothers and sisters. He is here! Evil Eye is out and about, and all he wants to do is play, my friends. His powers are inducing suicide, but since they both are using them at once, the two powers in unison cancel each other out and thus is not effective. But, come on, can we take a moment to gush about Evil Eye? Oh, it's so good! His design in this form, dare I say it, is as good as the one we see near the end of the episode even. I'm a manga reader, by the way, who is caught up, and we over there in the manga corner of the fandom hold Evil Eye in all designs and forms very highly. And this one is the same. Twisted grin with just that extremely slanted eyes and scrunched nose and brow. Oh, it is so iconic. It just hits the spot. Like, you could, this could be one of the best designs the series has, period. And as a manga reader for this series, first, and an anime fan second, oh, they did this one justice. Wincy and Swaru, my friends. This is a Wincy and Swaru. We get the iconic head twist moment as Gigi looks onward with his bloody and swollen eye. And while the two forces of pure evil are staring each other down, Okarun takes the chance to use his yokai abilities and sever it with his body, the worm's head. Now they are on the run from Evil Eye, who have turned their attention to the Dum-Da-Dums, which, by the way, you can buy as a t-shirt on my Teespring to support the channel. And eventually, Evil Eye catches up to Gigi, and here is where we get one of the most interesting and saddest backstories in all of Dandadan, till this very day. Evil Eye's origins were that of a small child with white hair, I guess that means he's Polish, and he was imprisoned in a dirt-covered prison in the ground. One day, he sees 3 village boys playing, and the day turns to night as he lays in his prison, emaciated, starving, and alone, yearning to do only one thing: play. He doesn't want food, he doesn't want love, he doesn't want revenge. He wanted only one thing, and it was to simply play with his friends as he relives that very special moment in his head. No doubt imagining himself being friends with these boys, playing with these boys, what they think about, what they're talking about, the game they're playing. At this point, the anime really kicked it into high gear on a different level from even the manga. And actually, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not lying, swear to God. I began to tear up just a bit because I think everyone can relate to that instinctual need to have human interaction. It is just fun. It is rejuvenating, and the simple thought of that interaction drives us to do so many great things as human beings. But as a local volcano erupts, it becomes clear that this is Gigi's hometown some 200 years prior, as the Kito family sacrifices the boy. And wow, what we see next is nothing short of brutal, as the boy's magma encroaching on Evil Eye incinerates the boy alive, and all he can do in his final moments is remember the happiest moment of his life, watching the children play from his lonely prison. And there are so many interpretations of what comes next, but the next day, the boy remains alive as a charred husk being picked at by the birds. Now, you have to ask yourself, was the reason that he was able to live through all of that for that long was because of that yearning to play? I don't know. I think you can decide. Nearly 200 years later, Evil Eye is a spirit and still his youthful and innocent self trying to entertain a boy who can see spirits and see him. This has been explained in the series briefly, but I'll catch you up. Adults are less likely to see spirits because younger people are more open-minded. Generally. This does lead to the boy's parents committing suicide via the Mongolian death worm, and the boy is left alive, tied up as the Kito family bury the house with the boy as another sacrifice and meal for the worm. Seeing this, Evil Eye panics and acts just like Gigi did to save his friends and family by trying to untie the boy. But since he is a corporeal entity, he cannot, and thus is filled with rage over what the Keto family did to this boy and did to him and countless others. This is the birth of the Evil Eye, as he takes over the boy's body and his face contorts. Together with this innocent boy, he vows to eradicate evil humans. Honestly, I am not sure where I would rank this flashback in the anime thus far. Acrobatic Silky is still very, very good, and I think right now may have the edge. But if it does, it is only slightly. And remember, we still have the rest of the arc to get through, so that could very well change over time, but I absolutely think this flashback is better in the anime than it is in the manga. Just because of the way Wincy and Swaru and put a lot of artistic detail into how things were presented with all the colors, the animation, and how just all of that came together to create an emotional powerhouse of a moment. 10 out of 10, man, they did a Wincy and Swaru for sure. Eventually, the Dum-de-Dums make their way down multiple levels of houses that have been buried by the Ketos over the last 200 years. As the further they go down, the older the houses get, creating a really interesting commentary on how generational hatred and loss can affect families. Well, for generations. Eventually, this leads to a pretty dark moment in which Gigi finds Evil Eye in his original form, charred and burnt, still in his prison, forgotten after all of these years. And as the Mongolian death worm attacks after regenerating itself, Gigi, much like how Momo and Ira saw Silky's past in Core 1, sees everything Evil Eye went through. And finally, after 200 years, Gigi starts the healing process by giving him the one thing he wanted this entire time: someone to play with as he defends Evil Eye from Turbo Granny, who wants to kill it, obviously. But this is a very important moment in showing why Gigi is so important to the others in his life. He is a constant source of energy, joy, and love that is infectious and inspirational. He's never a bummer and always, to quote a great man, looks on the bright side of life. Because life is much too short here in this prison we call society to constantly be bunned out. Gigi sees life as a gift and something to cherish and find the joys in. So despite Evil Eye being an evil eye, he defends him because under the cover of what he is, there is a boy deep down yearning for joy and, most importantly, for justice against the humans who take joy away from others. Evil Eye is a warrior for the pursuit of happiness. But Evil Eye has other plans as he takes over Gigi's body in one of the most incredible moments in all of 2025. The moment every single fan of Dandadan has been waiting for, and a moment that lives up to and even exceeds my own expectations. In a different way, this made me cry too, and to me was emotionally on par to the first time that I had watched the declaration of war in Attack on Titan as an example. Just pure goosebumps, good vibes all the way. And yes, there were happy tears. So, as the Dum-de-Dums are being threatened with being swallowed whole by the worm's muck, an Evil Eye once again is birthed, but this time the host, Jin and Joji. It's a fun name to say. Dandadan's own poster child for joy and compassion, and honestly, what a twist! What a juxtaposition, and what a smart thing to do. Yin and Yang. Dum-da-dum. And also, let me tell every single one of you something personally. I know what you are. I saw you checking out Evil Eye's ass. I mean, look at that dump truck. You should be ashamed of yourself. The cake doesn't give you an excuse to perv over a Japanese yokai, and stop it. But in one of the best animated moments of 2025, as the death worm turns its attention to Evil Eye, so does he, as it spares Momo from certain demise. Evil Eye absolutely obliterates the death worm, forcing it to retreat as it turns its gaze back onto Momo, who is forced to act. Looks like it's pretty much over for her. That is, until Okarun comes to save the day and defends his girlfriend from Evil Eye. A leg battle to end all leg battles, to end the episode. Alright guys, we've hit time on this video, but I want you to know I'm going to do a follow-up video to this video where I go into even more detail because a simple reaction video such as this will not suffice. This is something that will be familiar to the OGs of C-Tactics when I used to cover Attack on Titan. I do a reaction, then later on in the week do a full analysis breakdown. So subscribe for that because we're absolutely doing that. And just to be clear, I think this is top 5 episodes of all time so far for Dandadan. It is simply perfection. The start is dour, but shows the effects of suicide on people and families. And then slowly the episode morphs into another commentary on how humans can be so cruel and drive other humans to hatred. In other words, how humans really influence hatred on other humans just as much as they can with joy, love, and human connection. It's a duality, two sides of a sword. So, Dandadan, episode 14 is not one I will forget for a very long time, that's for sure. If you want even more Dandadan greatness, I put out a comprehensive analysis on Evil Eye's character over on my Dandadan channel recently. Yeah, I got one of those. Over there, we also cover new chapters of the manga every Monday, which is what we now call Mondadan. So check it out and get subscribed. Make it a great day or not. The choice is yours.